Okay, so we're ready for the final part of the session. Okay, so if we can start with you, James. You said during that video, one of the greatest myths about communication is that it's happened.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about what you mean by that, and how how Thrive is sort of designed to stop that happening?
Yeah, sure. I think, we've probably all been in those meetings where decisions are made and they're going to affect the people in your team. But it's how then you get that information out there. And I think quite often, like, we sit in a management team in our place and we talk about stuff, and then you sort of think, right, well, that just gets, the word just gets spread. Everyone will understand what's happening, and more importantly, why it's happening. And that's what I suppose I meant by that comment, that decisions are made, but it isn't communicated well often, and people don't understand the reason behind the decision. So that's one of the things. And obviously an app is just a channel to improve communication. You can do it in all sorts of ways. Go and talk to people, use lots of ways of doing it. But if you want to get a message out to everyone at the same time, so you don't have people left in sort of pockets of not knowing, then obviously a digital method of doing that, such as an app, is a great way of making sure everyone has the same message at the same time.
And am I right in saying then that the app is specifically suited to organisations where there are a proportion of the workforce? It might be drivers, like it was for Dairy Group or DPD, but equally it could be manufacturing businesses with shop floor operatives, people who don't have access to work emails, and canteen notice boards and all those good old-fashioned ways of communicating. That it makes sure that information flows throughout the organisation, rather than it being confined to people who are fortunate or unfortunate enough to have a work email address.
Unfortunate, I think, is sometimes the case. I mean, maybe most of us in the room do have a work laptop and work email, and you can just get used to that, how you do your business. But as you say, if your role doesn't involve being in front of that technology all the time, in fact, most of our customers, at least half, maybe sometimes more, they're not even given work email addresses, because what would be the point of spending that money for work email that people probably aren't going to use very often? But they're carrying a smartphone in their pocket and they're using it for everything. They're using it for their banking, WhatsApp, social media. They're probably sneaking it out of their pocket and having a look at it on their breaks. So that's really the reason why we thought, using that channel was a good way of, you're fitting into actually what people are doing anyway, as opposed to trying to get them to do something different. So certainly the thing about communication happening as well is that quite often people think that, we send out an email and everyone gets it, everyone knows now. But what about those staff that either don't read the email or don't even have a chance to get it? And that's where something else comes into play, I think.
And with the shift to the way most of us are working a lot now, with the move to sort of hybrid and even remote working, as we gave the example with Silage, does that, I assume that opens up more opportunities for the kind of businesses that can then benefit from using the Thrive app?
Yeah, we've noticed with working from home, everyone's a bit more disconnected, and you don't feel, you don't actually feel really engaged with your colleagues. Never mind what the business is trying to do, but what are your friends in work doing? What are your colleagues in work doing? So things like the app, I suppose, are a chance to, have a bit of the culture of the company coming through. So we notice on things like Easter, summer holidays, things like that, people are posting photos into the app. So there's a social aspect to it. It's not all sort of top down, sending the communication out. It's about trying to get the fabric. Imagine a little bit like a social network within your business, but not dominated by just what is being posted by random individuals, because it could get a bit overtaken by that. But it gives a chance for the company to engage and for people to have a bit of two-way engagement back in.
Okay, one of the big things that came out of the video there was the freedom to customize the content within the app. So can you tell us a little bit, before we go on to Laura and talk about her experience of doing that, outline the process of how that works when you're helping to configure that app for your customers in terms of them deciding what they want to put on there?
So maybe to sort of answer that, it's like, why would you do that? Why would you not just build an app for yourself and have it sort of bespoke? Because doing that will probably cost way too much money. So having a system that you can configure is way more cost effective. So we can build the software once and then let every customer configure it the way they need to configure it. And if you had to come across any two businesses that use this system exactly the same way, everyone puts their own spin on it, puts obviously their own brand into it. But that configurability is really important at the start. But 3 months, 6 months down the line, when you discover what else you want to do with the app, you can go in and tailor it yourself. You don't have to get stuck with what you decided months and months ago. So it's really important that it evolves. You listen to the staff, you look at the statistics, and you make changes as you need to.
Is that agility around of the content a big opportunity for customers as well, in terms of the ability to test what even like dashboard orders, you know, what content types do we put in what place in order to get the most engagement? And it seems to me from the work we've done on the videos with you that ability to drag and drop and change the orders in real time, like you said, you're not having to ring a developer and say, you know, we want to change the order a wee bit here to run a test, and they say, well, there's a couple of development days in that, so that's going to be X amount, so you don't do it.
Exactly. I mean, that's, you know, nobody has much spare budget these days to do stuff. So if you can do it in-house and react, the most important thing is reacting quickly to what's going on inside the business, whether it's staff feedback or some new initiative or whatever's happening, being able to react quickly to that and get it out to the staff. I'll never forget one of the first conversations I had with somebody about one of these apps. It was at an event like this, and we were only starting off, and the guy worked for an airport, and he was saying that most of his staff, because of the sort of poor communication abilities that they had internally, most of the staff were finding out on the 6 o'clock news when there had been a big issue. But when they were on the news and the CEO was up there explaining why whatever had happened, that was when most of the staff were hearing about it. And that's when this guy was like, there must be a better way. We can get this message out to thousands of people quickly. But whether you've got thousands of employees or even a couple of hundred or whatever it is, you know, you still have a communication challenge. You can't get round that number of people individually as much as you'd like to, but you can at least make sure they're all in the loop together, you know. Okay.
If we move on to you, Laura, then, so could you tell us a little bit about why Malahans were looking for a solution that ended up, that arrived at you using the Thrive app?
Yeah, so basically last summer we kind of went on a cultural journey. We were changing our values, we were kind of saying what was really important to us, and some of those values included our people, of course. So a big thing in my role was looking at internal communication. So like a lot of engineering and manufacturing, there's the shop floor, there's production, and then there's office. So we found a massive barrier between the communications. They don't have email addresses. The notice boards were kind of not ignored, but irrelevant to them. And then I'd done a bit of research and found Thrive. So that was kind of my first and final, thank God, choice. It was from day one, I kind of knew that after I'd looked at a few of the videos like that was played today, it was the same type of organisations where not everyone's sitting in a bubble together. We wanted to get messages to Atlanta, to our US factory, wanted to get them live like they're happening. So yeah, that's kind of, it was more of like the cultural and the change in values that really was like, we need to change the way we communicate company-wide.
Okay, and it's easy for James to sit here and say that the implementation process is very smooth, but
yes.
What can you tell us about your experience of that and how that worked in Malahans?
Yes, well, I'll have to back James up. It was very easy. We set up a Zoom call. After that, I went and sort of presented to a couple of SMT and directors. Everyone was saying, you know, if you can make it happen, let's try it. So we did a bit of a trial period, a couple of months, and immediately I was secured, and then we got a bit of employee feedback, and it kind of just went on from there. Everyone was happy. There was more on it that weren't. Slowly more people were talking about it. So it was like, oh, did you see that? If not, why are you not on the app type of thing? Because messages were being lost. So the more people that got onto it, myself and two others, we kind of formed like an app team. We did the design, we became admins. So I have to say it was quite easy now with the help obviously of Thrive, but nothing rocket science.
It sounds like there was a solid process. It goes back to some of the things that we talked about earlier, about that finding those original ambassadors,
yeah,
and sort of building momentum with them. Definitely. To try and create the demand from everybody else looking in and going, I think I want some of that too. Is that the way it was approached?
Definitely. At first it was sort of word of mouth, and then we decided to design posters with Thrive, with barcodes. So it couldn't have been any easier for employees to walk past, scan the barcode. It was emailed to everyone. it was everywhere. It was a bit of an eyesore for a week or two, but the more people that were on it, the better feedback we were getting. So we just wanted to make sure every employee knew about it. We have it in 5-6 languages, is it?
Yep.
So all employees could be involved. We didn't want there to be any questions. We kind of ticked everything off the list. So all smartphones, Androids, it can be used on a desktop. Yeah, like I said, we tried to eliminate any question marks. So that was a big help as well. The languages, you know, as a lot of diversity in the workforce. So it was to accommodate everyone, and we definitely accomplished that, thankfully.
Okay, I mean, tell us a little bit then about the results that you've seen since the introduction of the app, and what sort of measures you have in place for how do you measure whether this is working or not?
Yeah, so, well, I suppose alone the app is a testimonial. You know, our feedback on the app, there's people liking and engaging, there's comments. You know, if someone does well, it goes on the app, then other people want to, I suppose, do well. You know, people are driving each other on. We also have like an innovation section, and it's all with our bright ideas. So anyone in the app can click a button and share an idea, whether it's about parking, the canteen, if there's glasses needing fixed, anything. So more people were getting involved in that sense too. They liked that they had a say, I suppose. But yeah, we measure it with the analytics on the app. So we get weekly reports, and then it's sort of my job to look into that. If there's maybe anyone that's quit the app, we'll maybe go and have a chat with them. That doesn't usually happen, but if there's anyone that's been in the company for a long time and only signing up for the app, we'll maybe go and have a chat and just say, you know, what encouraged you to sign up this late, or things like that. Small sort of reports and analysing kind of goes a long way with the app, which is good.
Is there an element as well, just the way we're sort of hardwired as humans, that, you know, to have a system in place that allows that feedback loop to go, that I made a suggestion, it was considered, and now it exists as a new policy or a new thing that we do, and people see, oh, this is worth doing. Whereas without that, there's lots and lots of great ideas in organisations that never get far enough up the line because there's no mechanism for that to happen. So the visibility of the fact that, you know, I suggested a change, whether it be, you know, an early quitting Friday or, you know, a wellness walk on a Wednesday, or, you know, whatever it might be, that people see those things are actioned and then are thinking, well, you know, I've got ideas too, and now I know that something's going to happen.
I think once, so like I said, we launched our Bright Ideas, so it's part of our innovation, and that's one of our values. So they all kind of tie in together where, like I said, it could be maybe someone alerts you that the water's not running in a certain area or something, but it's fixed immediately, and then there's comments, so this was fixed on a certain date, if you would like to come back to it at a different date. Then we'll set up, like, maybe we follow-up meetings with the person who put in the bright idea, so they know that they're also recognised, that no one on the app is taking credit for it. It was the person's idea, so they're broadcasted, I suppose, to everybody.
Okay, as well as all the, you know, the work and the process stuff, which is obviously important in the generation of the ideas. I know when we spoke to the dairy group and with DPD as well, it was some of those softer content types that were often the things that you got people engaged with. So the dairy group used to did a baby photo competition where they got everybody to send HR a photograph of them when they were a baby, and they posted a couple every day, and, you know, employees had to try and guess who it was. And that just got loads of people using it, loads of engagement, loads of people talking about it. So the people who weren't using it were like, why am I missing out here? Can you tell us about some of the content that you've used the app for and how that's helped?
Yeah, so we developed, you know, like the employee recognition section. So it didn't have to be about something you've done at work. It could have been a big birthday or a wedding anniversary, or, like you said, like a child's photo, or small things. But then people started liking it, and then they posted about their lives, and maybe recognising someone in their team that wouldn't do it themselves. So it started to get like that bit of like an employee recognition community, and it's really wholesome, like, to even just like learn more about people that you maybe don't work beside every day. So we have like employee recognition, like a latest news, which again doesn't have to be, here's your holidays for the year. You know, it's exciting handovers. If we've dispatched something, you know, to a really exciting customer, we thank them because everyone in the company is part of it. So just things like that, and we do get great feedback. I think they just like to be in the knowledge and keep.
Does it provide a mechanism as well for, you know, often I heard comments working in manufacturing businesses, the guys on the factory floor would say, you know, we never see what happens to this machine after it leaves
that was
here.
a big
You know,
problem for
it
us.
gets loaded onto the truck and it disappears, and you know, we never see or hear from that again.
Yeah.
So the visibility of that machine working or that vehicle being operated by the customer, or that positive testimonial from the customer, just makes the guys on the floor stand that little bit taller every day when they come into work the next day, and thinking, I really want to do that. I really want to do that good a job again.
Yeah, like you said, they don't know, you know, when they leave at 5:30 where that product's going. So we've started like the latest news, like I said. So if a belt loader or a catering truck's going to Nada or Qatar, we let them know that whole journey. So we thank shipping, we thank the guys in production manager, the scheduler. Everybody gets the shout out. So it's not just thanks to the sales guy or thanks to, you know, marketing for posting the photo. It's thanks for everyone for making it happen. And then, you know, the feedback from the customer that we would get. So yeah, like you said, it's probably really heartwarming for them, I suppose, just to know what they're doing.
Staying on the content theme, I mean, from your experience across the range of customers that Thrive have, James, what would you say about some of the best content types that people can use to try and drive that engagement?
Yeah, definitely. There's about 100 companies using it, mostly across UK and Ireland, but some further afield, American, Australian stuff as well. And it's definitely that mix of really kind of fun stuff. People want to have a bit of crack. That, you know, most people, you know, want the work might be a bit rubbish at times, but they'll really enjoy maybe their colleagues and that side of things as well. So it's that balance of trying to, you know, just engage people. So, you know, what's been going on with your work and what's going on with your colleagues. You know, it's that sort of human interest stuff that really seems, in the analytics, you'll see it.
Yeah.
You know, I always say to people, if you're going to just push messages from the top down, forget it. You know, it's not worth doing, you know, and likewise, if you're only going to do the social stuff, you know, that'll get you so far. It has to be useful and a bit of fun. People aren't going to download 2 or 3 apps on their phone for your workplace. You get them to download one, you'll be doing well. So if it can be a bit of a one-stop shop for all of that, it's probably the best, you know, best thing.
Okay. There's been a lot of talk about company culture and values and all that today, Laura. So the ability to help reinforce that seems to be a key part of the Thrive app. Can you tell us a little bit about how that works at Malahans and how you sort of help to reinforce that on a daily, weekly basis?
Yeah, so in short, our values are people, partners, innovation and efficiency. So like I said, we have our people piece, we have our partner piece, which is our customers, our suppliers, anything like that, or also our local partners, so our schools, our community, any charities. We'll post everything. Usually nothing does get missed, but if anything does, people also have that freedom to post. You know, efficiencies, anything, and innovation, anything in the bright ideas or anything that anyone can think in the company to make things more efficient and more innovative. They have the ability to do that. So kind of we have tried to tie in all our values in this one app. Obviously, it's not as easy as it sounds, but slowly, and the more we learn with the app, the more we are able to sort of push out those values. We'll send, you know, we have the values and sort of like an image on the home screen. So it's kind of reminding people that these are what we're supposed to sort of be living by, I suppose.
Okay.
In
we had a conversation over coffee there, Laura, and you were saying about, you know, you just mention the app now in every meeting or every conversation you have with people internally.
Head sore.
Is it? I mean, is there an element of once you start using it, you start to see lots of other opportunities as to how you could use it more?
I think so. Like that's what I said. I'm probably a head sore. Like there's a million ideas I have, but you kind of have to keep them within reason. There's always kind of a new idea with the app team that we have, and we kind of want to even broaden the team and get some of maybe like the production guys up into the team and see what they think or what they think the guys or girls on the shop floor would like to see more of. So we're definitely moving forward in that sense. But yeah, I probably do talk about the app a lot. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing.
Just on the same subject, James, I mean, I'm sure there are customers who are tempted to, as part of those initial conversations about, oh, here's like we need to be doing these 1,000 things on the app like now. Is there an element of you need to start small almost, observe the analytics, find out what's working best, and then decide where to take it next, rather than getting a bit carried away with all these features that you think need to be on it?
Definitely, and I think the really savvy people kind of know what the staff are going to ask for, and they hold something back, you know, at the launch, but then they add it a week or 10 days later because they know they're going to get that feedback, and they're just reinforcing that we're listening to you. Because forget the app for a second. If people give you feedback and you don't listen to them and you don't respond to it, well, guess what happens? They get pissed off and probably go down the road eventually. So if you can hold things back and respond quickly, and I'm a great believer, technology is just a bit of technology. If you genuinely don't listen to people and respond, like, there's no point, you're just wasting your time and theirs. So being ready to respond, like Laura's saying, and doing that quickly. But like you say, Peter, don't try and solve all your problems at once, because if you can evolve the app and show it getting better, that's going to get more and more buy-in from the people that are using it, especially if you do things like Laura's done about asking for feedback and taking their ideas and giving them the credit for the idea. Then you've got somebody who's really an advocate for the whole thing for you. It's just, you can't really force people to use this thing. They have to want to use it. So whether it's the social stuff we talked about, or they feel that they've been listened to, that'll all reinforce why they want to use it in the first place, and they'll tell their colleagues about it if they aren't already using it. So that's the only way of approaching it, I think, that will be successful,
And if you had £1 for every time somebody had asked you to use ChatGPT to create the content for it, Laura, how rich would you be right now? Have you been tempted to look at ChatGPT and think, how could that help us develop the content? No? No, is that conversations that
some people are starting to talk about it, but you have to have content, obviously. But what stuff like AI can't replace is, like, giving a colleague a shout out. How would it ever know to do that well and do it authentically and with personality? So, as with anything, it'll probably help us in some way. Like, we're looking at, could we use it for, if you look back at all your headlines of like news that you've put in, what ones of those have got the best engagement? And then could it help suggest tweaks to a headline that you're writing at the time? So stuff that would actually help. I'm a great believer that something like AI should help you, not replace you completely.
Yeah.
I think that's probably where it'll end up in a lot of cases. It's just in the great scare story at the minute of AI is going to steal everyone's jobs. But I'm sure a lot of people in the room have robots doing certain jobs in their businesses. And when that first happened, people thought robots are going to replace everyone on the shop floor, and they help you, and they have replaced some things, but human beings are still needed.
Yeah, thankfully. Yeah. And Laura, finally, one thing that I had to ask you separate to the Thrive experience was you've recently completed the mentor program from Mega. So can you tell us a little bit about how that's benefited you in your marketing role, given that you're with Malahans a year, fairly recent graduate, and also new to the manufacturing industry?
Yeah, so myself and 2 colleagues embarked on the Mega course, and it was amazing. So 10 weeks, and you kind of, when you hear mentoring and leadership, you kind of think that you have some of the skills. It really enhanced everything us at Malahan knew. And as well, the focus on apprenticeships is really important with us at the minute. We have 25 and some now coming in September, but we didn't have enough mentors for them. And they're kind of the heart of Malahan at the minute. There's 25 and they're spread out over the whole company. So we wanted to find a way to really target and achieve this sort of, I suppose, mentoring title for a few staff. And it was definitely achieved thanks to Una and Southwest College. But I suppose to link it with marketing, a big role of mine is the communication aspect, both internal and external. So for me now to have the ability to sort of mentor apprenticeships and guide them through the company and be able to kind of just be someone to talk to, it's a brilliant skill to have. Not everybody has sort of someone to turn to in work. So it's definitely nice now that we're being able to build that from apprentice up, and I suppose it's just...
There's an element as well, is there, of giving people that progression opportunity outside of what their everyday job is, and given that we all get, we all like the idea of giving something back.
Definitely.
Back to how we're hardwired as humans, I suppose. So the mentoring program feeds into that to some degree?
Definitely, yeah. So like I said, me and 2 colleagues, 3 of us were in totally different sort of roles in Malahan, but we've came together in a group to now really focus on apprenticeships, mentoring throughout the company, culture, values, tying it all into sort of one bubble, and really now trying to embark on the people and the apprentices. So they're now our kind of main focus. And once they have the sort of mentors they need, team leads will have the mentors, team leads will be mentors. We kind of just wanted everyone to have someone in work, I suppose, as part of our cultural move forward, and to really bring in our values a bit stronger. So it's a journey, and we're only kind of beginning, but it's hopefully an exciting one.
Okay, and just to wrap it all up then, James, what would you say from the ongoing conversations that you're having with all your from all your customers about the app, what are some of the main benefits that your employees are saying they're getting from using the app?
Well, I think as Laura put it quite well, people being in the loop, knowing what's going on, that's the baseline, but then having their voices heard and, having a channel to respond and feeling like they can contribute and know what's going on. And I think the two big things, obviously, in the last few years have been the pandemic and Brexit. And I think going back 10, 12 years ago, it's maybe not fair to say of every business, but certainly we noticed a bit of a trend that in certain roles, people were seen as quite disposable, and there was almost like an endless stream of new talent that they could draw upon and recruit in. So retention has become a massive thing in the last couple of years, as people really struggle to get the skills and keep them. And I think that's what people are now turning their attention to. Of we actually do have a good culture here, but maybe people don't know about it, and they're trying to enhance that to make sure people want to stay, because as I say, when the work gets tough, it'll be your colleagues that get you through it, and that's all about the how people get on with each other, and anything that can enhance that has become a really important thing. That I think the app's part of that. There's lots of other things people should be doing as well, but I think that's definitely been the tone of the last couple of years is retention, culture, making sure people feel valued, and giving them no reason to walk out the door if possible.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Has anybody any questions for James or Laura? Yes, Brian?
Just a question for James. How many languages does the app support? Because one of our sites, we've got over 23 different nationalities.
Sure. The only one that we've come across that we can't support at the minute is sort of right to left, which would mainly be Arabic. There's a few others as well, but we haven't encountered anything else that we use. It's not Google Translate, it's a Microsoft version of it. But basically it means you can plug in virtually any. And the Arabic thing is because we'd have to shift the whole app interface the other way around for it to be really good. So, but if it's not that, then I'd be fairly confident we could cover those ones, yeah.
Good, thank you.
And it's a big thing because, people obviously will have a degree of English maybe, but if people are writing comments and stuff, for them to be engaged in that process, if they can see stuff, even if it's not perfect, like Google Translate isn't perfect, but it's pretty good. And as long as they get the gist of it at least, definitely.
Yeah. There's an element of that going back to the point of, do we value our people? 100%. Well, if we're not willing to put the content in their first language, then probably not.
We only introduced that in the last probably 2 years because we didn't have the demand for it before. But once these challenges I was just talking about came in, we had current customers coming to us saying, we now need that to happen. And it was they were doing it for exactly that reason, because they wanted to try and engage people much better than they had done before. So there's been a big turnaround in people, and there's a wee bit of an extra cost to putting in languages because you have to pay for that, interface to use, but it's a cost well worth paying, I think, for them,
Okay, any more questions? Yes?
Going to Laura. Laura, how do you find policing that more than anything? Obviously, coming from a HR perspective, if you're giving the staff the freedom to post things onto that, some things maybe you don't have consent to post, or potentially could be derogative or discriminate against the company. How do you police that? Do you have to actually go on and remove it yourself? Or?
No, so everything that comes on the app, one of the admin has to approve and publish. So if it is a bright idea, they all have, thank God, been safe to publish. So we just have that freedom. They have the freedom to post, but as soon as it gets that far, we then publish it. So nothing will be seen without one of the admin publishing it. So we'll just have a quick look, see who published it, and if it's appropriate to publish, that's then where we just click go and then send the push notification usually. So
is it important that process works quite quick?
Yes.
to make sure that there isn't too big of a time lag, so
It's
people
always
think,
open
oh,
on
this
my
is...
laptop, the tab. So it usually is done quite quick because there's 3 of us. We'll all kind of, so maybe my section will be bright ideas, someone will be company notice board, because it's also important if they send something in to publish it quite quickly, so they know that it's being seen to. So just like that, it's easier for us now to go in and make sure that it's appropriate and then click send. So
Do you need to have a policy around, this is the kind of stuff that you are allowed to post, not allowed to post, or do people generally police themselves pretty well? I suppose a question for both, Laura, if we could start with you.
To date, nothing inappropriate has been posted on the app. Maybe something jokingly about how someone parked or something. It wasn't published, but you can still laugh about it. It's not like criminal.
Was it somebody
no
senior?
Names. Someone was parked badly, so someone in their team as a laugh put it in, and it was funny at the time, but you're not ethically supposed to post it, so we didn't. Again, the policy, when we put it out, we just encouraged that it's going to be a positive app. It's for communication, it's not for any other sort of mean or hateful reasons. So thank God, to date, nothing has touched a soft point or anything.
Okay. What about James? I mean, what's your experience across all the customers
Yes,
you're
there's
working
about 250,000 people using it at the minute, and it's a very rare occurrence that people abuse the system. Now, everyone has to sign into the app individually, so you know who has done everything. So if they post a comment or anything like idea or whatever, their name is beside it. So it's very intentional, there's no anonymity. You can do like a whistleblower type thing and have that anonymous, but the vast majority of the stuff is against
Sounds like
someone's
you
name.
need to talk to Elon Musk.
Yeah, it's
Tell him about this like lack of anonymity thing.
But it's a funny line because you're doing this whole thing to get engagement and you want to get people contributing, but the thing is, because it's a private app that only your staff, they're the only ones can get into it. I'm sure you all have policies around don't go on to public social media and slag off the company or colleagues. So because it's a safer space than that, so you can be a little bit more relaxed, but because it's in their name, rarely see any issues. The only issue I would say is if there's a bad lever going out the door, and you probably know they're probably going to be mouthing off as they go out the gate. So you can go in and actually disable their access, maybe have someone doing that as the meetings are happening. And you'd be doing that anyway, probably on email systems and all the rest. So there's ways of managing it, but thank goodness most people are in it for the right reasons. And you put everything in its own box. So if you want to have like a sort of open photo wall, you can put that in its own section. It's not taking over your entire feed or app. So everyone kind of knows the crack that things are in a certain place, and there's a place to have a bit more fun than there would be in others. But back to what you asked Peter earlier about the flexibility thing, everyone has different degrees of tolerance and culture, and some of our customers are quite buttoned up, and others are very free flowing, so they'll apply all these sort of rules themselves to suit themselves. But yeah, no, thank goodness no one's ever come back and given off or complained. And there's a wee thing in the app, so if you're, say, Friday night and somebody's posted a comment or a photo that they really shouldn't, you can just hit it and get rid of it as an admin, so you don't, it's kind of quite, but it's a rare thing to even have to think about that.
Okay, any more questions? No? Are we good? Going once? Going twice? Sold. Okay, thank you very much everybody for coming along. Thanks James and Laura.